I took the job a month ago, night archivist at the Athanasios University Library. It sounds grand, but it's really just a glorified custodian gig with a fancy title. The pay is crap. The hours are worse, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., and the only company is the occasional mouse and the bone-deep silence of a building that smells like dry rot and old paper. Athanasios is ancient. We're talking pre-Civil War ancient. The main reading rooms are beautiful, but the basement is where things get weird. It's called the sub-archive, and it's where they store everything deemed too fragile, too obscure, or too plain, uncatalogable for the public eye. My instructions were simple: patrol, dust, and absolutely do not attempt to refile anything in the locked esoteric catalog sections. Naturally, that's exactly where I went on the third lonely Tuesday night. The esoteric catalog is behind a heavy, iron-barred gate deep in the sublevel. It's cold back there, colder than the rest of the basement, and the air feels thick, like breathing dust that hasn't moved in a century. I picked the lock with a paperclip. The first few shelves held what you'd expect: weird astrological charts, medieval alchemical texts, and thick journals written in Latin. But then I hit the mother lode of oddity: an entire section, floor to ceiling, filled with identical books. They were all the same size, about 8 by 10 inches, bound in plain, matte black leather, worn smooth by age. They had no titles on the spine. Instead, there was a small, stamped label, not with a name, but with a date and a highly complex, almost geometric symbol. I pulled one out at random. The date was July 12th, 1968. The book was heavy and felt strangely cold in my hands. The paper inside was thin and brittle, filled with elegant, cramped handwriting. I assumed it was a private diary or ledger, maybe a family's financial history. I started reading an entry from 1975. It was a detailed account of a 7-year-old child's birthday party. The names of the guests, the brand of the cake, the specific embarrassing accident where the child wet their pants trying to blow out the candles. The narrative style wasn't personal. It was objective, written with a chilling, clinical precision, as if from the perspective of an invisible observer. I put the book back, feeling a spike of confusion, not dread. Who would go to the trouble of compiling such a specific, anonymous journal? Then I saw the date on the next spine down, October 14th, 1993. That's my birthday. I stood there for a full minute, just staring at the book. My rational mind was screaming, coincidence? Libraries reuse cataloging systems. But the hair on the back of my neck was standing up and my hands were actually shaking. I pulled it out. It was bound and styled identically to the 1968 book. On the first page, the ornate, cramped script began. October 14th, 1993. Subject designated of 4793 is delivered at 0431 local time weight, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Primary caregiver displays expected initial euphoria. The initial condition of the vessel is stable. I had to sit down on the dusty concrete floor. I flipped ahead randomly. I landed on a passage dated May 2000, May 17th, 2000. Subject A, 4793 is instructed by primary caregiver to clean their room. The subject attempts to hide the lost metal Space Ranger toy under the bed, believing the item to be permanently missing. Subject displays minor distress upon discovery. Observation noted. The subject's distress is disproportionate to the value of the toy. I felt a cold nausea wash over me. The Space Ranger. That was my favorite toy as a kid. I was obsessed with it, and yes, I remember hiding it under the bed because I thought if I didn't see it, my mom wouldn't know it was dirty. No one, absolutely no one, remembers that detail. It wasn't in my baby book. It was a private moment of 7-year-old paranoia. This wasn't a diary. It was a record. I spent the next hour working feverishly through the section. I found the book dated November 8th, 1965, my mother's birthday. I found the book dated June 21st, 1995, my younger brother's birthday. I found the book for my best friend, whom I've known since high school. Each one contained an unnervingly detailed, clinical chronicle of their lives, written by the same unseen hand. I am not the author. I am not the subject. I am the book. We all are. The sheer volume of the books made my brain reel. How long has this catalog been running? Who is the archivist? And why are they so interested in the mundane, painful details of everyday existence? I flipped quickly through my own book until I hit the last entry. November 14th, 2025. Subject A, 4793, accepts the role of night archivist at the Athanasios University Library. The objective of the position, to make contact with the archive and gain knowledge of its purpose, is now realized. Subject A, 4793, has entered the esoteric catalog. November 14th was yesterday. My heart hammered so hard it hurt. I was holding a book that had just described my actions yesterday as part of some objective I wasn't even aware of. I looked at the next page. It was pristine, white, blank, waiting. I slammed the book shut. I scrambled off the floor, ready to bolt, when I heard it. It was a small sound, dry and faint. But in that profound silence, it was deafening. It was coming from 2 aisles over, deep in the shadows of the esoteric catalog. It sounded exactly like the scratching of a pen. On old paper, someone or something was writing, and the only blank page in the entire archive was in the book I was holding. I didn't stop to look. I ran. I threw the iron gate shut, locked it with shaking hands, and ran out of the basement and straight out the back door into the pre-dawn air. I'm home now, looking at the library from my window. It's too big, too dark, and too silent. I left my book, my life, on the concrete floor of the sub-archive. I don't know what the entry for November 15th will say, but I'm terrified to know who is writing it and what happens when they get to the last page. I don't think I can ever go back for my final paycheck. I just needed to get this out. Let me know if you've ever heard of the Athanasios Library. Maybe someone else has found their book.